What's good, YouTube? I don't even know what to call this. I think I'm going to call it amazing. Man, top-notch brothers is about to drop this IT, cybersecurity, hacker knowledge for those of you that are tuning in and are going to watch it on replay. What I want you to do, before we even get started, if you're not following these gentlemen, in the description of this video is their contact information. I'm going to go around the round table and let them introduce themselves. With no further ado, let's start it off with Davin. What's good, family?
What's going on, man? Thank you for welcoming me back. I enjoyed it the last time, and then when I saw your talk with Charles, and then I saw you say you wanted to set this up with everybody, I said, listen, let's go. When you was doing it live and you said it, I was like, yo, put me on now. Like, send me the link. I'll do it right now. So I'm just happy to be here. You know, but we're still all up in the house, so why not? We can't connect in real life, but let's do it this way.
Let's get it.
I'm a big fan of everybody here. I've been chasing Charles for a minute. I keep telling him on Twitter. He keep curving me though about the plug on them shirts.
No.
Those retro shirts, I keep retweeting like, yo, I need the plug. So
I thought I answered you on your Insta on your DM. Nope. I'll tell you live right now. So I guess that's the segue. Let me introduce myself. My name is Charles Shearer, aka the BSD Bandit on Twitter. Ow! Yep. So for the plug on the t-shirts, what I actually do, a lot of times sometimes I'll Google on like Amazon, and it'll bring me to like a third-party website, and then I actually have a guy and that's what I used to do in the beginning, but I have a guy that actually makes the t-shirts for me now. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll play the game, right? I'll play like
he got a personal shirt printer.
Right.
You need a flexible man.
So
I got a guy to know a guy, and I'm the guy that you need to talk to the guy.
I know, right? It sounds like a daisy chain going on here. But yeah, so what I do is like I'll play the game, right? And then I'll pause it if I can pause it, and I'll take a picture with my phone and I send it to him as an image. And then he puts the image on a t-shirt. So that's how he does it. But he does it. He's quick with the t-shirts. I got a couple of more coming soon as well too. So be on the lookout. But no, all seriously, just let me know which shirt you're interested in, and I'll ship it to you.
Oh man, appreciate it. I'm like, I see you doing the stuff with the motivational stuff. Oh man, I didn't even do my own stuff. So I'm sorry. So I'm Davin Jackson. Because I was waiting to do it, but I'm Davin Jackson, also known as DJax Alpha on Twitter and Instagram. I run Alpha CyberSecurity, which is a blog. I'm also the host of InfoSec Unplugged on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/C Alpha CyberSecurity. I do a show every Thursday. I just bring people on, and we just talk tech and talk whatever we're feeling. So make sure you after you guys show love here, go check that out over there. I have guests I had Tanya Janka from We Hack Purple last week.
Woohoo!
I had Marcus J. Carey the week before. I had Ty Wilson before that. And this Thursday, I'm having the organizers from the Share the Mic and Cyber event. So
okay.
Please be sure to go check that out. And look, I got shirts too, so check this out on my store. This is my only hacks. I couldn't get on OnlyFans, so I said screw it. I'm not.
Let me know about that that only hack shirt.
Oh, absolutely.
Wow. You guys talking about shirts, and I ain't got no shirts down here, so I might have to get myself some shirts.
Yeah, that goes for you all as well. Let me know, which character or whatnot that you want to get. I'll ship it to you.
Bet.
Appreciate that, man. Well, yeah, I guess so. Leading on to myself, then, over in the UK, no t-shirts over here yet, but I'm gonna get some. no live shows here really, but you know we can do some. But nah, I'm thankful for being invited back. Davin always coming through with a plug, getting the greatest people on the show. I'm honored to actually be here talking today with different cybersecurity professionals. And for me, I work for Cisco as a cybersecurity consulting engineer. Got a few certifications with Cisco. I did an undergraduate degree about 4 or 5 years ago maybe, and now I'm currently doing a cybersecurity degree in my master's degree cybersecurity. So quite busy at the moment. Don't really get much time to stop and think, but yeah, I'm just trying to keep pushing, keep learning new things as usual. My details should be in the description of this video. So follow me on Twitter. I've got my YouTube channel where I'm doing videos mainly on Cisco stuff, but I am starting to mess about with a few other things, especially now, kind of jumping into your guys' areas a little bit actually. So I'm working on the certified ethical hacker stuff at the moment. I've just done the ISO 27001, so the information security management system. So, trying to diversify my field a little bit, really. So you should start to see new videos around that soon.
Okay.
When it comes to cybersecurity knowledge and certifications, all three of these gentlemen have been killing it. I'm excited for this. But before we get started, I want everybody that's tuning in to hit this video with a like, share it out on your social media, and drop your area code in the chat. I want to see where y'all at. I know we got some people in from the UK. Hopefully we got some people in Ohio, New York in the building. Drop your area code in the chat. Let's see where y'all from.
Yeah. Okay, 405.
405 in the building. What's good? 313 in the building. 703 in the building. 317 in the building. It's Brooklyn in the house. Okay, see.
I see Nova, Detroit, Raleigh, 919.
UK
as well. Nice.
Yep.
See you.
Okay.
618 869 312.
Looks like we're international.
International. That's what it's all about.
I love it.
Hey,
Ghana. Okay.
Ghana in the building. 305, Florida.
All right.
See, the one out here, he a man of the people.
For sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
see Antonio there. Nice to see him tuning in.
My guy.
702.
Hey, what's up, Josh? Keep it techie.
Ethiopia. All right. Woo.
Let's get it. Let's go. I'm loving this.
Yes.
All right. So for those of you that are tuning in, if you got questions, drop them in the chat. The way I want to start this talking about cybersecurity as a whole. There's so many different domains in cybersecurity. For someone that may be on the outside, they may think computer security. They may think hacking. They may think infrastructure security. They may think just security in general. Can you all just kind of talk about what domain you are in the security area, and then as well talk about what got you into that field?
Oh man.
Yeah, that's a big question.
Yeah, it is.
I can kick it off. So I think first of all, the way I used to look at cybersecurity before I was in cybersecurity, I saw it as a flat field. I thought, right, cybersecurity, you went to cybersecurity and that's it. But now that I'm in cybersecurity, the fields within cybersecurity are so diverse that, there's so many different things you can do in cybersecurity. So I think for people getting into cybersecurity, you really need to take a look at the different areas that exist within cybersecurity and see where, or at least have a feel for where you think you want to go, and then from there start exploring those areas. For me, the way I got into cybersecurity is I actually started off as a network engineer. So, the basics, CCNA stuff, Cisco, and followed all the Cisco track through university. And then after university, I then went into my first managed security service provider role. So I will focus primarily on firewalls, IPSs, IDSs, things like that. And that's when I started to really look at different security products. And then from that point on, I realized, right, I want to get into this field. I want to be a security engineer. And then from that point on, I then managed to get the position with Cisco as a consulting security engineer. and that's kind of what I do now. So I now work as a security engineer, but not primarily focused on every different sort of technology. Because I work for Cisco, it's focused a lot on Cisco products, but we still have to be aware of kind of what's going on in the industry, what are the new trends, what are the issues that customers are facing within security, and then we go from there. So I still need to know kind of elements of kind of what the rest of the guys do, you know, whether that's ethical hacking, you know, stuff like that, because I need to work on firewalls, IPSs. I need to make sure that I can secure customer environments with the products that I work on. So that's kind of where I got into security, and kind of how I managed to kind of diversify myself in the field.
Thanks, bro.
Okay. So there's a make sure.
Somebody's echoing.
Yeah, it sounds like I'm echoing, or I hear myself. All right, so yeah, that's better. So I actually started, you know, I said the story before, but I started the whole other way. I was an aircraft mechanic in the military, and got out. There aren't any fighter jets in the civilian world. So, and the other stuff that I did was classified, so I couldn't talk about it. And then you know, I moved around a little bit, couldn't figure what I wanted to do. Tried and failed on a lot of things, and then just ended up really kind of reflecting and thinking about what I wanted to do. My wife kind of pushed my hand and was like, yo, you know, what is it that you enjoy? And like I said, I always enjoyed tinkering with stuff. Like from like my earliest memories, I was always trying to take stuff apart, figure out how it worked. My grandmother used to just let me go. My grandmother would let me just take anything I wanted apart as long as I put it back together by 5 o'clock when my father came. Otherwise, that Jamaican woman was going to whoop my behind. So, so I had to make sure I put it back together. And if it worked when I took it apart, it better work when I put it back together. And if it didn't work, hopefully I could get it to work.
Right.
So, you know, it's like I said, so I knew I wanted to do something in tech, but like we had just had our daughter, didn't really want to go the college route and do the, you know, the student loans and all of that. So I got discouraged, and then I started doing some searches and realized you can get certifications. So got my A+ and stuff, tried to work and find my footing. Actually, my first tech job was at Circuit City. I was a home theater install guy, and they needed someone on the PC bench. And I said, you know, I can do that when I'm not doing installs, you know, give me an extra $1. Hell, I was really going to do it for free because I just wanted to get that experience. And they agreed to it. And I just kind of, you know, worked from there. And then, like I said, I got introduced into cybersecurity when I was working in the school system. And to Kelvin's point, I always thought it was offense and defense. I just thought I really didn't even really know there was hacking. I thought it was more like vulnerability assessments and stuff like that. And then I knew there was, you know, incident response. But then I realized there's even so much more into it, like DFIR and, you know, forensics and all of that stuff. So when I started doing some searches, because I wanted to do more to secure the school system, that's where I got introduced to pen testing. And when I saw that, it was like a light bulb hit. And it was like, yo, I can do this. Okay, cool. And, you know, I just kind of took the initiative from there. I've told my story before, like, you know, try to go about it and do it in the school system. They didn't want to rock with it. They didn't think it was in the budget. They didn't understand what was the need for it. So I took a few grand, bought the books myself, and then paid for a boot camp. Drove down to Virginia, met Keytron Evans, who was my first instructor. And, you know, the rest is history. So I think that answered your question.
Yeah, it did, man. It did. I think it's dope that you was allowed to tinker, though. I think it's crazy, dope, that you was allowed to tinker.
Yeah, like, I mean, I think back at it now, and I'm like, man, thank God I didn't die. Because I would think back to like my grandmother had like the old floor model TV, you know, the one that was like that was a fixture in the house.
Yeah.
And when that one burned out, there was no screen, but there were speakers. And I came up with the brilliant idea of, well, what happened if I ran these speakers to this TV? All right, cool. I started taking stuff apart, whatever. Now I think back, I'm like, damn, was that power plug ever?
Hey,
was that electrical cord ever?
Hey,
Davin.
Yo. So with the floor model TV, right? We had a TV inside the floor model. When the floor model went out, put a TV inside the floor model. And to this day,
when the floor model died,
to the TV on top,
floor model died, you don't get rid of it. The floor that becomes a shelf for the new TV.
My grandma passed away in July, and to this day she had a TV on top of the floor model. Floor model for when I was a kid. That's crazy.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So for me, might as well say hacking started from the video game era. So I got into it just wanting to hack like video games. From like I said, and I told you the story before, where with the Super Nintendo and the Super Famicom, there was a difference between the cartridge, and I wanted to play Dragon Ball Z it was on the Super Famicom, but I wanted to play it on my Super Nintendo. So I wound up getting the game and just trying to play the game. But what I realized is that in the Super Nintendo, it had two clamps, these two clamps that you could take off with just a pair of pliers, right? Once you took that off, I was able to play the game because those two dividers were to keep you from playing third-party games, I guess, So from a hacker standpoint, that's kind of the start of the engine. I did PC gaming, and then I started off kind of the reversal. So I got into the Linux first. I got into Linux more so. A lot of people were doing Windows, and what made me think that I was on the right track was when the blaster worm hit in 2003, and I went to the computer lab, and I got on the internet just fine while other folks were not getting on the internet. At the time, I was running Red Hat 7.2, and it's like, how you get on the internet? I said, yeah, I'm running Linux. And then I graduated from Red Hat to Slackware, and then from Slackware to FreeBSD, which is what I use to this day. And got to hold up the symbol. I still keep it beastie. Yes. But FreeBSD. Oh, talk about that FreeBSD life. Yes. So FreeBSD is just a version of Unix. So the difference between the two, Linux is just a kernel. FreeBSD is an actual entire operating system. So those are the difference between the two. But I spent a lot of time in that arena. I spent a lot of time in the Solaris world. I also did some Windows. I did some Novell. So I was a sysadmin. And I didn't even think about it from a security aspect. I just thought about it. I didn't think about cybersecurity or anything. It didn't even have a title. It was just me just tinkering with different things and playing with different operating systems, learning how to connect them together through the network, learning how to actually write scripts. So my first scripting language was Corn Shell. Then did some Bash and then went to Perl.
Okay.
And then from Perl to Python, and to this day I'm with actually, I just use Rust a lot and a little bit of Go. But from a standpoint of with security, I just always wanted to know, okay, I know how the OS works. I know how this application works. How am I able to bypass the controls and make it do things that it wasn't designed to do? So that's what got me into the security mindset. And then I got into wireless hacking. So with wireless routers, I was buying up all type of antennas, Zigbees, different radios. Shout out to Zero Chaos, setting my path on knowledge for wireless hacking. And then I took the offensive security wireless course, the OSWP, and I got into that. And I was, this is pretty cool, but I want to know more. And then I did the OSCP, and I did the CEH as well too. So the CEH, and I'll say this: the CEH is awesome, far as giving you a foundation of the jargon within security in general, right? It gives you a great foundation for jargon. So when you hear folks well, I don't like the CEH, I took it. No, don't listen to that.
Listen,
go through the course. Go through the course.
Yeah.
and get yourself like the foundation of the jargon, and you just take it from there.
Right.
Yeah.
And the same thing with the OSCP. If you want to get into like penetration testing and do the OSCP, OSCP is just the foundation. Even though you're physically hacking into the boxes and everything else, it's the foundation, and that you go and like research specific topics because it covers various different topics from exploit development to web app hacking and network pen. Yeah. And then it's up to you to take it from there.
Right. So
always look at certs as a way. And a good friend of mine, my coworker, shout out to Red Siege. Ow! He was like, certs, you get certs for the job that you want to get next.
Yep, I agree with that.
You see how I'm getting at?
Yep, I agree with that.
Okay, yeah, that's a bar.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I borrowed a bar.
So to that point, Security Plus CEH is definitely the foundation. And although, CEH is frowned upon in the industry, jobs love it.
Yeah.
Explain
that.
Is.
Break that down.
So amongst the elite hacksaws,
elite.
you know, the CEHs, they think the CEH is worthless because, you know, like to Charles's point, the CEH is foundational. So there's really no hands-on like the PWK or, you know, offensive security course where, you know, you're learning whatever. The CEH is kind of like, this is an Nmap scan. This is Metasploit. You know what I'm saying? Like they give you a broad overview of it. So when you walk in and say, you know, yeah, I'm ready to go, I got my CEH. And don't get me wrong, I was one of them. Because when I got my CEH, you couldn't tell me, can I cuss? You know,
they couldn't tell you nothing.
Coming from that story, coming from my story previously when I was like, I had everything I had done in my whole career that got me to that CEH, going down and doing it myself. When I got it, remember that you remember the meme? You seen the meme where the dude is doing the champagne bag and metal, and then everybody's looking down and he's like in third or fourth place. That was me. I personally attacked because I was like, you couldn't tell me nothing. And then I started doing more research, and then I got my pen test job, got on an assessment by myself, and I was like, I know nothing. Right? Yeah. So
I think no, with that as well. I think that's a good point. But I think with that as well, I think that's always the case. I feel like with certifications, or at least most, you know, I feel like you get that foundational knowledge, but then when it comes to putting it into practice, you're like, wow, like I've got to do this now. Like I don't remember it. Yeah. What do I do?
And see, the thing is, when I got my CEH, Keytron told me to go. There was this other practical. It wasn't the OSWP. It was called the CPT. There was a practical one, so he was like, "Go get that because it will complement it to show you have some hands-on." So I went and grabbed that, but even that was still entry level.
Right.
So you know, so now you come from that where it was like, okay, yeah, sure, you used Wireshark to sniff out some stuff. You got some plain text spread. You know, boom, you run a race condition. Congratulations, you're root. And then you go on a real life engagement and like that. No, none of that. Nope. None of that works. So, but that to me, that's also why I love it, because it's always changing, and you know what I'm saying, you got to stay on your toes. Right. But before we go somewhere else, Charles, I also have a hacking story with a Dragon Ball Z video game on the Sega Saturn. And it involved opening the CD case. It was popsicle sticks or toothpicks. I don't remember. I'm showing my age with the Sega Saturn.
Toothpicks.
The two toothpicks, and then you hold the door up. Yeah. And then you put the first game in, wait for it to start up, boom, boom, and then put the burn game in. And then, that's how I got to play a bunch of games on there.
Wow.
Yeah. I got to play a bunch of. We were like, yo, there's this I can't. Was it Legends? I don't remember, but to me, it's still one of the best Dragon Ball Z. I mean, the graphics.
I think it was Legends.
I think it was Legends. Where you go through the whole story. Yeah, and I was like, yo, we gotta do it. So we burned it. We burned it on a disc. Don't burn games, people.
So legal disclaimer. This was a long time ago, and
Wild West.
Mega upload times. Before Mega.
I love you, Sega.
Hey, while we're still on this CEH, I got a question, or we got a question from Gabriel Gasson. The question is, what certification is better, the CEH or a CompTIA Pentest? I have a different opinions on which certification is better. What are you guys' opinions?
So I'll go first. So
Yeah,
again, the CEH, yes, people frown on it. Companies love it. You want to get a job. Who are you going to listen to?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Pentest Plus, my opinion is that in the next 3 to 5 years, the Pentest Plus is going to be up there with the CEH. I'm not saying it's going to replace the CEH, because I still think the CEH is great for foundational. Then I think it goes CEH, Pentest Plus, OSCP. Reason being is the Pentest Plus kind of builds off of the CEH, where the CEH is foundational. Pentest Plus now is like, okay, but now here's how a script is going to look, or here's how this is what you need to look for in an exploit. Here's some hands-on stuff, and then the PWK course, and just to jump on that, yes, you should pass the OSCP. I'm a failure of the OSCP. I don't care, but
I failed too. Don't feel bad.
But the PWK course, that's what matters. If you can apply the knowledge from that course, because the course, it gives you the broad overview, but it also forces you to go out and look for the information. And to me, that's key.
Right.
Yes.
So I think each one is a stepping stone. So I would say CEH, Pentest Plus, OSCP. I mean, I know there's EJPTs and stuff like that. Shout out to INE and what they're doing, but I don't know them. I don't know about their stuff well enough to speak on it. But like I said, I took the Pentest Plus beta test. Okay. And like I said, from what I saw of it, it was like, okay, yeah, this is pretty decent. So I would definitely say CEH, you get the CEH because it's foundational, and like I said, you want to get a job in pen testing. The companies have the jobs in pen testing.
Yes.
If they say they want the CEH, get the damn CEH. Like it's not to me, it's a step above the Security Plus as far as the knowledge, as far as the stuff that's in it, the material. So if you can get the Sec Plus, take the CEH course, get the CEH, you could probably knock them out within months of each other.
Nice.
And like I said, and just to piggyback, also too, I failed the OSCP the first time, and I passed it the second time. The difference was in the second time was the buffer overflow. That's what got me the first time, because I wasn't good at going through the whole. I went through the whole buffer overflow process, but I was weak in that area, so I had to go back and research and practice against different apps in order to go back and pass the OSCP. But the thing is just like, if you, and I want to put this out here, as you're taking certs, if you happen to fail a cert, it's not the end of the world. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just that it's an area that you need a little work on. So always keep that in mind when you're doing these certifications. And again, like I said, you definitely get the Security Plus, because a lot of places look for that, especially like in the government sector, right? The 8507 list. Definitely want to look at the CEH as well.
Hell, I'd say get the Network Plus before that.
Yeah, Network Plus as well too.
Yeah.
And then like for the OSCP, if you really want a job starting out, like getting into pen testing, definitely want to do the OSCP, because a lot of places are starting to look for that certification. To get you in the door, right? And then once you have that, you can kind of pick like which lane you want to go. Like, you want to specialize. If you want to specialize in web app testing and you're looking for a cert to do that, eLearn Security.
Yeah.
Because they have web app pen testing, I think part 1, and then they have the extreme one as well. So it's just all what you want to do, but don't let the certs be the end all be all for your journey. It's all about the journey. The cert's just the icing on the cake. It's all about getting that knowledge. Yeah. Because that can't be taken away.
Yeah. And to your point about I'm sorry, Kelvin.
No.
Oh no, I was gonna say, to your point about failing. It's still on my. If you actually go to my Twitter page, it's still like on the top post. I wrote an article about my experience with failing it, and with me, it was time, unrealistic expectations, and burnout.
Yeah.
Right. And then imposter syndrome halfway through the exam.
Uh-huh.
So I told myself I was going to knock it out in 3 months. Without knowing what the course entailed, I said, I'm gonna knock it out in 3 months. I'm gonna do the course, I'm gonna do the labs, I'm gonna do and everything. 3 months.
Uh-huh.
And even though I knew, okay, this is unrealistic, I still told myself I'm gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
And rabbit holes. So I did everything, and I fell down a rabbit hole, and I missed it by 15 points the first time.
Wow.
And then the part that sucked is when that person dumped it a few years ago.
Uh-huh.
I said, let me see something. And I found out that one, the password I was looking for, was literally right there had I just scrolled all the way down to the bottom. I was so convinced that it was commanded, that there was a command injection, that I did not pay attention to the damn thing right in front of me in plain text. And that would have been that would have gave me my points. So so avoid the rabbit holes, but again, set realistic expectations. I killed myself, and like I said, I'm an advocate for it now, because when I did it and I had those unrealistic expectations, and then when I failed it, I went right back and tried to take it again with no rest, no nothing. And the second time I took it, my body literally was like, enough. So I'm in the middle of the exam, and I was just like, right. And then like the next day, I got up in the morning to get my day ready, and I'm not going to get into all the details, but I ended up in the hospital later on, and it was like months of recovery. I had gained like 27 pounds. Like it was. So, so pacing yourself and setting expectations, like don't let the aura of the OSWP trap you, because, it's all a mind game. That 24 hours and all of that, it's all a mind game. You just kind of, I know what I'm doing, and stick to what's at hand. Don't let the proctor get to you. Don't whatever. You realize when it's a rabbit hole, and then keep it pushing.
As you was telling that story, real quick, why was Rocky 3, the movie, played in my head as Rocky was preparing for his rematch for Clubber Lang, and that song "Get In Strong" was playing in my head as he was going for the search.
Yo, you can't lose with that song. You can't even lose it. That song, come on, there's no way you can lose.
The montage.
Now, and I think just quickly, elaborating on that failure point, I think it's important because there's a stigma attached with certifications, and everybody feels like they need to achieve a certification the first time round. If they fail, then they're not good enough, and maybe they should look at something else. It's not that at all. I think if anything, a failure will make you stronger because it forces you to go back and look at all the modules or all the topics that you went through that you might have even been strong on. It forces you to go back and look at them, and also evaluate the weaker area that you might have failed on. So the next time you come around and do it, you might have even understood something more than the first time you first looked at the content. So I always find, failure, you should, I feel like in a way you should celebrate that failure, because you know that you've come close to passing it, but you've not quite hit the mark yet. So you need to go back and just go for it again and do it. So don't ever let failure and don't ever let anybody else push you to take an exam when you're not ready for it. If you're not ready for an exam, reschedule it. There's not wrong with rescheduling an exam.
Yeah, I just did that myself. I just rescheduled the exam for the second time.
Hold on, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you got a bucket for all them gems that Kelvin just dropped.
I know.
Make sure, because that's the truth. I mean,
facts.
That's the lesson learned. I mean, hell, that's what I tell my kids. I tell my kids, it's not how you mess up, it's how you recover. You messed up. All right, cool. Reassess, reevaluate, figure out where you went wrong, reapply. And then now if you mess up twice the same way, then we got to talk.
Right.
But we can understand what's going on.
True story. Hey, I got a super chat from Willie Beeman.
Is dropping some good knowledge. I'm done.
Hey, Willie Beeman, thanks for the super chat.
Hey, shout out to Willie.
Yes, he says, I really like what you guys are doing over here. Please keep up the great work. Wi-Fi hacking piques his interest. Thoughts on the OSWP?
Okay.
No idea what that is. What's that?
So the OSWP, and I mentioned it earlier, is offensive security wireless professional, right? That was one of the first certs that I actually took in the offensive security side of the house. So I'm going to give you the overview on how to prepare for that. Boom, here we go. So what I want you to do is actually, and this is what helped me, I played around with different wireless like settings, wireless configurations like WPA, WPA2, WEP. Also, like just spent time attacking those particular encryption mechanisms, right? Using like different tools, whatnot with wireless in general, right? So you definitely want to make sure. And I mind you, I took this back in 2014, so hopefully this helps. But I had several different, like I had TP-Link cards, I had Alpha cards. I believe they used, and they tell you on the exam, I think they used the Alpha cards in the back, Alpha cards on the back end, right? But also, too, definitely go through those videos that they give you, right? Go through all of those videos, and as you're going through the videos, work through the problems and definitely read through that PDF. And I'll put it out there. If you have any wireless questions, I will definitely help you related to the OSWP as well, too. So send me, you can send your information to chat or however, and you could DM me if you're on Twitter or whatnot. I'll definitely help you. But that's just a start. Like, just play around with the different wireless routers, the encryption mechanisms, learning how to just crack them. You could just build up your own lab because they don't give you a lab when you pay for that particular cert. I think when I paid for it, it was $450. I'm not sure if it's that now, and I'm not sure if you're already in the course. But if you aren't, here's how you do it, and I'll help you build the lab.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I haven't taken the course, but I have an interest in it. And that's the same thing I did. Like I got a bunch of old routers. I mean, you can find them anywhere. I mean, hell, you have some laying around. But yeah, old routers, set up a separate network, and just get an alpha wireless antenna, and just I mean, you can follow some videos on YouTube. Shoot, back in my days, and y'all got to forgive me because I'm actually going through hackers withdrawal because I haven't really done any pen testing. But what I did, I have this that I built, and then I get a power adapter, a wireless, like the power packs, and I would set up the alpha antenna to this, and this is touchscreen, and I would literally, when I was doing stuff for the neighborhood, I would literally go around and test their Wi-Fi from my car. So like these are things you can do. And again, this is what makes the field fun, that you can do certain things like that with permission. Get permission, get it in writing. Not verbally, get it in writing. Keep your ass out of jail.
Yeah. So there's a talk I want you to check out too. I think it's called Wireless Penetration Testing for Reals. It's B-Sides Delaware 2013. And that could give you a foundation on how to go about penetration testing with wireless and the type of cards that you would need. Even though it's an older older talk, it gives you the foundation of wireless penetration testing. And I went and grabbed some of my wireless material. So this is a wireless TP-Link card.
Yep.
If you want to use it, get version 1.0. I usually buy them in bulk when I get them. They're like $14, right? And with the antenna itself. Now, I do have an Alpha wireless card, these are like $35, right? And this is pretty much like when you're preparing for the OSWP, that's all you really need. And, and then you just learn from there. And, they give you the basics over the course or whatnot. And then you'll be fine. Like literally, I think it's like 6 hours to actually, I think you got like 3 or 4 hours, I can't remember, to actually hack into the wireless routing, like crack the encryption and stuff. So, also look into client side attacks in wireless as well too. So that was another thing. So definitely check that out and research that as well.
Hey, here's a question. Wi-Fi 6 and WPA3. is there inherent security added that you cannot hack now if you implement WPA3?
Well, didn't WPA3 get hacked when it first?
It got hacked. It got hacked already, but I'm pretty sure they fixed that vulnerability. But that's some stuff you're just gonna have to literally research and really dig into and start get some of those routers that actually support those particular encryption schemes and start playing around and hunting. And you'd be surprised. You might discover something that nobody else has yet just by playing around with it and actually write a blog about it.
Get yourself a CVE.
CVEs.
Mm-hmm. I know Kelvin and Davin, they do a lot of blogging on security and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a question. How do you keep up with everything that's going on in security? How do you all stay up to date with the news?
Lately, I haven't. It's too much.
Yeah, I think it's impossible. I think, like Davin said, there's so much going on, and I think also the important thing is because of the rise of COVID-19 and everybody having to work from home and remotely, I think it's only put more pressure on environments and more pressure on cybersecurity experts because there's so much uneducated
takes opinions.
Yeah, on security, and people are just not prepared. Companies that thought they were prepared, they're not prepared. You know, they've literally had to stand up solutions to enable people to work from home, but then with that comes the security implications. You know, how is that data traversing, you know, the public network to the corporate network? You know, how is that user accessing the network? Where are they accessing it from? You know, you only have to look on, you know, do a quick search on Google today, and you'll see so many things that are related to COVID alone, related to security. So trying to keep up with the industry is difficult.
I mean, 2020 was bad in itself, but then forcing more than half of the workforce to work from home opened up a whole other bag of worms, because the companies, unfortunately, just whether it was COVID or pre-COVID, security always seems to be an afterthought in a lot of these companies. So it's just, how can we do this and continue making money, and then we can think about securing it. And then after that, it's like, what's the worst that can happen? So while everybody was putting Band-Aids on all the damn fires that was happening from working from home, now you have people out there who are like, well, let's see what happens if we do this, and let's run a DDoS attack. So now we're putting out those fires while worrying about those Band-Aids, worrying about the other stuff, securing our everyday stuff that we have to take care of, and then FireEye happens.
Yeah. I mean, it's real.
While trying to be compliant.
What about SolarWinds? SolarWinds happened.
Yeah, that's what I'm. But it's like and that's the thing. We were just starting to. I'll never forget. We were just starting to dissect when FireEye happened. I said, okay, I'm not touching this. I'm not looking at it until give it 3 days. Give it about 72 hours, and then we'll have enough information. And then I started to dissect it, and everything was like, stop what you're doing. Shut the hell up. I don't care. Go see what's going on with SolarWinds. And it was like, and we're still dissecting SolarWinds every day.
Yo,
but you gotta look at it
about that. My bad. What's crazy about that is that they actually threw an intern under the bus for that. Yeah, what are y'all thoughts on that? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Somebody had to eat. Somebody had to eat.
The way I look at it is you know, there's a saying, you know, shit rolls downhill, you know, and to me, it just shows the weaknesses in security that was in that company. You know, you can't throw an intern under the bus for, you know, a password that was weak anyway. Like, why are you using SolarWinds 123?
Where was the policy? So the intern had, where was the policy?
Exactly.
But that's like the military. The military, they say, when the higher up, they're like, yo, this is gonna be a shit sandwich, and I'm the higher up, so I'm gonna eat the crust. You're gonna actually eat the shit.
You know something? But you know something? With all these breaches that happen, like, and a lot of times, you know, like I said, we laugh at these companies, but we gotta look at it like it can happen to anyone. And I think a lot of folks don't really think about it that way. Right. Like, it can happen to even security firms.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so you always want to keep your head on a swivel. You know, just look at this situation with SolarWinds as like a lesson to just kind of pay a little bit more attention to your environment. Maybe get together with your blue team as well too. Shout out to the blue teams out there that are constantly working, whether it's SOC, whether it's Differ, whether it's me as a former threat hunter. Ow! I rock with all y'all. But definitely, you know, the blue team, and I literally just talked about this on a Positively Blue Team podcast, which that was something that was recently started. I'll talk about that later. But we talked about it like with like, you know, red teaming and blue teaming. The key is communication. Everybody can't be on an island in order for this to actually work. So whatever the blue team is doing, they should communicate with the red team and vice versa, you know? And that way, I think if you have better communication between both sides and understand what each other is doing and actually working together to build an efficient defense, you'll see a lot of this stuff actually calm down, I believe.
And I think that's important. Like, I think security teams in general, and also organizations in general. You know, there's so many silos within organizations. You know, you've got the finance team that are not security savvy and don't really care about what you're doing in security, and then you've got the security team that don't care about anything else. But I think, you know, these silos need to break down and bring these different organizations together and understand the security implications of the things that can happen, because security is everybody's responsibility. It's as simple as that.
Yeah,
it really is.
It goes to that security versus convenience, right?
Yeah,
that's what it boils down to. You have companies who, again, they're just worried about their profit margin, and the best way to keep more profits is to keep security out of the budget. And you know, again, like Charles said, they think it can't happen to us. It can't happen to us. And then the problem is, like, and I was just talking to Tanya about it on her show too. The security teams of these companies that end up getting breached get it the worst. Not the CEOs that make the decisions. Or CEOs who say, you know, I want to stay convenient, so I don't care if it's vulnerable. I'm used to this. I don't want change, so we're going to keep the vulnerability. Right. The staff who don't want to, you know, upset the CEO, the managers who want to overlook it, or everybody who accepts the risk. And then when it goes bad, the security team is usually the one that takes the fall. So I feel for them. Like I was talking about, I said the target people. They will never have a stain on their reputation, when honestly it probably wasn't their fault, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, so yeah, communication is key. I think communication between red teams and blue teams, or how everybody's trying to more go purple, that's necessary. And I think honestly we should promote more almost like friendly competitions between red and blue, because steel sharpens steel. So you know, let them figure it out and communicate. Well, this is how I got in. Well, this is how I blocked it. This is what I did to do it. So now the pen testers or the offensive side can keep being creative and innovative ways, whatever. And guess what? The company wins.
Exactly.
Right.
The company wins, because now, as long as they're staying innovative and the blue team is staying innovative, and you're promoting this within the company.
Exactly.
Right. You're getting free. You're literally getting hours of work and consulting fees for free.
Yeah.
If you just get your head out your behinds and stop worrying about the profit. And I'm off my soapbox now.
And then they can, you know, create systems to kind of act on what they've done. So, you know, information security management systems, you know, put that in place, promote that from management all the way down. So then, you know, of course, becomes second nature. Or, you know, look, security is important. You know, bring that up in meetings. You know, bring it up in everything you do. All the frameworks, all the project management meetings, everything. Bring it up. It's important, because the saying in the cybersecurity industry, and that is, it's not if, it's when. You know, companies. You know, as it's already been alluded to, there's so many companies out there that think it's never going to happen to them until it does happen to them, and it does. It does. You know, SolarWinds, FireEye, for example, that we've just been talking about, I bet they never thought it was going to happen to them, especially FireEye being a security company. Whoever thought it was going to happen to them? but it did. So it's important.
Hey,
Yeah.
I want to ask a question. You Charles, you got something you want to add?
Oh no, like you were asking about how do we keep up with this security, right? A routine that works for me. I try to compartmentalize a lot of this stuff. So, like, first thing I do, I wake up in the morning, of course, while the coffee's brewing. Morning video.
Yep.
So after that, then I'll go look at what's going on, like some blogs or whatnot, read through the blogs or whatnot. And then I put in my mind on my whiteboard, I'll say, all right, here's what I'm going to focus on today. So, for example, and I just recently wrote a blog. It's going to be published on the Red Siege blog soon. Hacking OAuth 2.0, right? I want to spend 2021 digging deep into web application security. This is not for a job. Yeah. It's not. It helps me on my job, but this is just me wanting to know more and just take it to the next level and take it to the edge. So spending a lot of time in different aspects of web, whether it's hacking OAuth 2.0, getting into web tokens. Let's revisit some of the old research, like deserialization. So I kind of pick a topic that I want to focus on each day, and I read a little bit, write a little code, and I just kind of compartmentalize that way to kind of stay on top of it. So it's not like I'm racing towards a goal. It's just that I'm just journey, slow and steady. Water, slow drips of water to wear out the iron, pretty much.
Marathon continues.
When it comes to the OAuth is when you try to authenticate, let's say, to ESPN, and then it takes you to Google or Facebook to use your authentication, right?
Somewhat. Yeah, so OAuth, okay, look at it this way. I'm giving you like a high-level overview of how it functions, how the protocol actually works. So you have your resource owner, you have the resource server, the authorization server, right? So from the client, you're sending something like an authentication request, right? And the resource or authorization server, depends on how they have it configured, sends you something called like a grant. A grant is more so like just pretty much like a token, right? So you get that token. So it's kind of like OAuth, kind of like, I'll put it to this way, valet keys, right?
Yeah.
Let's go valet. So you got an Audi R8. So you want to access that Audi R8, and the owner is just like, you know what? I'm going to give you access to my car, but you're not going to be able to drive it, but you can open the trunk. It gives you permissions on what you only have access to. So yeah, you can have the keys all you want, but the keys are programmed only to allow you to open the trunk. Someone else gets a set of keys for that particular car, and they can only open the glove compartment, open the door and the glove compartment.
Right.
And then you have the resource owner who can do all of the above, who can drive the car, open everything, and whatever else. It just divvies out who they want accessing the car, and who can get in the back seat, can get to the front seat. That's the overall overview of how the OAuth protocol works. Look at it from a valet's point of eyes.
So from somebody that, I don't know, just a regular user, right? If you go to a website and it's giving you all these options to sign in,
right?
Is it better to create an account or use a third party?
Now, if it's giving you like several different options to sign in,
right,
then that's more like, it seems like from what you're talking about, like multi-factor authentication. So
I think, are you talking about like, so for example, if you sign in and it's like, oh, sign in with Google, sign in with Facebook, sign in with
that right there. Yep. That's OAuth, right? Ain't that OAuth?
Yeah, that's OAuth.
Yeah,
that's OAuth.
So is it better to create an account or go through the OAuth process?
You can go through either way is fine, but I'd rather go through the OAuth process, me personally.
Okay. So the reason why I'm asking this question, I'm trying to understand how secure it is when you talk about hacking it.
Well, I mean, the thing about being secure with that is also, I mean, if usually how I look at OAuth is, if I don't plan on using it all the time, then I might sign in with another resource. I might sign in with Google or whatever. And then when I know I'm done with it, I'm going to go to Google and say, what does my Google account have access to? And I'm going to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Because usually that's what happens. People set set and forget. So people's accounts a lot of people's accounts who are getting hacked or breached are because they haven't probably accessed it in a while, haven't changed their password, and it's like years old, and now they're whatever, and then unfortunately people are using the same password for multiple accounts. Right. So if the account you had years ago gets breached, and you're still using that same password on all of your other accounts, you know, you throw that into a word list. and let it go. You know, you do your little I can't even remember the attack, but the spraying attack where, you know,
password spraying.
Yes, password spraying, and it's not necessarily, so you're not brute forcing, but
what's that? Break that down, man. You can't just throw out stuff that and not break it down.
Password spraying is basically the reverse of a brute force attack. Whereas a brute force attack, you would say, I know your email address or your username, and I'm going to put this username with a bunch of passwords, and I'm going to go and just try to go through the list.
Right.
Problem is if there's any type of rate limiting or any type of protection, you'll get timed out or you'll get locked out. Password spraying or credential stuffing, that's what I was thinking, is now the opposite. So you might have you have a list of email addresses and you have a list of passwords, right? So now instead of saying this person at this email address, whatever, and all of these, it'll go this email, this password. No? Okay. Well, then how about this email and this password? And it rotates through the list. So this way you're trying to avoid getting timed out or getting caught from using trying multiple attempts at a password attack.
Yeah.
Right. Because people will lock you out, and especially Active Directory, you know.
So I'm gonna lock you out for it. Yeah. So whatever.
Yeah. So shout out to Password 2019 bang. Winter 2020 bang. Let me behave myself. But no, those are actual like when I'm using a password when I'm spraying for passwords
or seasons.
Yeah, I'm going seasons bang and seasons year bang.
Spring 2020, spring 2021 bang.
Yes. So when I'm doing a password spray, right? You could just like say, for example, I'll use if I see an account on there like say Charles, right? You see Charles is in Active Directory and you want to brute force the Charles account, right? So I'm gonna use I'll just throw out like crack Mac except or something like that, right? Or whatever, right? And I'll just say, hey, throw spring 2019 at this account, all these accounts in Charles's domain, right? Just that one password against all different accounts, not like several passwords at one account. Yes. That's the difference between the brute forcing and spraying. You're spraying one password against multiple accounts as opposed to spraying multiple passwords at one account.
Yeah. So basically with like DevOps, you can set up a container to run this script and it, let's say, rotates every 15 minutes to do it. So that way it doesn't hit that so many attempts within this amount of time frame before it locks you out. Right? Is that how it works?
Well, you can set that up in Active Directory. Actually, they have like settings and logins. Like say, hey, after a certain amount of failed password attempts, you can lock this person out until the admin unlocks them, or they could be locked out for 15 minutes,
right?
Or they could be locked out for like 2 days. It depends on how the admin wants to configure it in general.
But from a hacker standpoint, your script is going to be set up so it doesn't hit that threshold.
Yeah,
that's the goal of password spraying. You don't need a script.
You don't even need a script, or you could use tools like Burp Intruder.
Right.
So there's tools. You don't have to write it yourself. You can just use the tool.
Tools already there.
Yeah.
Tools are beautiful.
I'm just asking for those people that may not know. You know what I mean? Is this built into Kali Linux? All these tools are built into Kali Linux?
Yeah, they're built into Kali Linux. A lot of the tools are built into Kali Linux. Burp comes with Kali Linux, the free version.
Okay.
So you can download Kali Linux and you'll have a lot of the tools built in. So it's great.
Just Google popular word lists.
Yes. Sec list at GitHub.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Or the Disney Plus list.
Oh Lord. What?
What is that?
Yeah. So when Disney Plus, so we all know what Disney Plus is. Speaking of which, I need to finish WandaVision. But when Disney Plus first came out, there was a breach. But that password list, that username and password list is available somewhere on the internet.
Wow, that's
crazy. Oh yeah.
Did they tell their people that they got breached?
Yeah, yeah.
They didn't force them to change their passwords.
Look,
I don't know. I don't have
they had to because we damn sure knew about it.
That's crazy.
But it's a lot. It's a difference. Like I said, I didn't know. Like I don't have Disney Plus. So I don't know what type of password they was actually using.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, but somebody asked about like coding and scripting. I look at coding and scripting real quick. Scripting is just more so like a hack job. Like you're trying to get something done like at that moment, and you're just whipping up a script. So look at scripts as like instant pancakes or waffles. You're putting it in a toaster, pop, boom, the food is there. Now, if you want a long-term meal and you're preparing for guests and everything, that's where coding comes in because you're actually developing software or whatever else. I like to equate tech with food. It's weird. But yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's the difference.
Here's a question I got, and this is for Kelvin, and all of you can answer, but Kelvin, we all pretty much got home routers that have firewalls in them, right? How secure are those firewalls? I know you do a lot of perimeter security. Inherently, how do you secure your network if you have that type of firewall?
Yeah, so I think to answer that question, I think they're not that secure. I mean, if you set up, say, for instance, port forwarding to, let's say, an internal server, you want to access that router or your home network remotely, then it's advertised to the internet. So I could go online, I could find your public IP address, I could try and connect to your to your device, and providing I know your password, username and password, I can get onto that device. So it's not only the firewall element in it, it's just the way it works in overall, and that's just the way it is. So I think the basic settings that come with these devices, they're okay for home users, but if you're ever using additional things on these devices, or you want to use stuff like port forwarding or host services behind it, then I would say they're not that secure, to be honest with you, because what happens is most users, like especially over here in the UK, so we'll get a router and you'll get a default username and a default password, and then you can access that on the default IP address. Most users will leave that as it is because they just don't know how to change it, and two, they don't see it as a problem if they don't change it. Right. The first thing I do when I get something like that is SSID change, username change, password change. I totally lock it down. I set up a separate network, so I'm not even using the subnet that comes with that device. So I totally just block that off and use my own network, which is then secured by my own firewall and my own thing. So you're not getting in it. Yeah,
right.
You're not getting in it.
He said, "You are not getting in there."
Ian with the Gandalf, you
yeah. I'm usually careful when I speak like that because people then start trying some funny business. But yeah, I've got it set up, so it's all right.
You start seeing port 2222222 being scared.
I might go offline in a quick DDoS attack.
I'm not online anymore. I'm frozen.
Do they protect against DDoS attacks if you have like a service provider home router or something like that?
I don't think they do.
Nah, the dog. Nah.
They're supposed to, but
yeah, they're supposed to, but I don't think they do.
Okay.
That's my personal opinion. Hey, I think with the service provider, as long as the whatever your Cash App, the check clears, auto pay comes through okay. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think the important thing is you've got to kind of is anybody going to want to access your network or try to break into your network? Have you got anything that's valuable to them? And if not, people are they're not going to waste the time trying. You know, there might be some kids out there learning and learning how to do reconnaissance and stuff like that online, and they might, you know, come across your router that's been advertised out on the internet, and they might try it. You know, I've done that too. But aside from that, if you've got no valuable, then they're not going to waste the time. They're going to go after targets that you know, data is the most valuable thing now. So they're going to go after data that they can use and either make money from or hold companies to ransom until they pay. So I wouldn't really worry about home networks being hacked. But, you know,
I mean, again, I would say yes and no to that, because the popular thing is smart devices. People are trying to make smart devices. So what I recommend is, if you have any smart devices, Ring cameras, smart toasters, Alexa, Google, whatever. First of all, I hope you don't, but if you do, put that on a separate network. That keep all your because the thing with smart devices is that they are inherently insecure because they don't patch them as frequent as they do everything else.
Right.
So vulnerabilities are just bound to show up, and with vulnerabilities come exploits. So what I usually recommend is create a separate network just for those devices. So if someone gets into your fridge, then they might be able to jump from your fridge to whatever, but it's all those devices in that one area. Keep your laptops, your phones, and all your other stuff with your data that is valuable off onto a separate network, and keep that one locked down. The other thing I recommend is set up a guest Wi-Fi network in your house, so when people walk in, they're not just hopping onto your network, because just like how we don't want people in our houses because of COVID, you don't want someone bringing their infected phone or infected laptop onto your main network. So they put them on a little guest network, separate from all of that. And when they leave, take their behinds off of the network.
You know something too? That's true. But you know something too also? And this, for the folks that want to like get good at hacking, and we'll just say hacking in general, right? Focus on defense. Look into detection. Look into I'd recommend a book called Malware Analysis. A book on malware analysis, and actually go through the actual, like the examples or whatnot. Set you up maybe like a SIM using open source tools, like say look at OS query, because I think a lot of times, and you know, like as we're talking about security, we talk a lot about like just like the hacking side, because, and I blame this on movie theaters, by the way. Movies only show the offensive side, but defense helps make better hackers and vice versa. If you know both sides, you understand like both, you know. And the thing is, I think a lot of times like I said, I've worked as a threat hunter, and as a threat hunter, you're always like looking for the specific detection. You want to know how they got in. You want to know, okay, is this application that's on the network communicating out to foreign IP addresses or third-party IP addresses that should not be allowed out to the network? These are things that you want to wrap your mind around. And as you're wrapping your mind around these different things and these different scenarios, you can use that in an offensive setting as well as a defensive setting. So you're looking at this like, okay, if I communicate here, okay, this payload just ran here. Even though I have logging turned on, why is this? What is so special about this process? Why is it making a call? Why is it making a call home out to the internet when I don't even allow anything out to the internet? So these are questions that you should ask yourself. And if you want to get better,
how. Always ask how. I mean, to your point, that's so a little known secret is that if it wasn't pen testing, I probably would have done forensics. Like, I love cyber forensics.
Awesome.
I actually have a certification in cyber forensics. Problem is, I couldn't get a job in cyber forensics in the Northeast because you had to work for law enforcement.
Okay.
I wasn't getting into law enforcement in
Right.
ever. So, but I felt like learning the forensic side made me a better pen tester.
Right.
Because if I know what a forensic person is going to look for, if I know how they're going to look through the hard drive, what logs or whatever they're going to look at and whatever, I know what I need to try to avoid as a pen tester.
Right.
And vice versa. Okay. I'm not going to do this. I'm not, so you're absolutely right. Defense does make a better offensive security professional. And there was a second point I was going to make, but whatever, I'll remember it.
VPNs. It seems that VPNs are a problem. Like they're a good thing, like you should use them at home, but they also mask intruders in your network. How do you detect that?
I mean, you detect it from the traffic, just looking at the traffic standpoint,
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's VPN. If you're logging what's going on, what IPs are coming into your network, as far as like the VPN, if it's a range of IPs that you have, and this is where whitelisting comes in, and blacklisting and whitelisting as well too. So you can say, hey, you want to lock it down to say, hey, these set of IPs are not allowed to come into this network.
Yeah.
And then as you're looking at, your logs, which hopefully everybody's looking at their logs or monitoring, right?
Hopefully you have logs. You have logs enabled.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. But let's just say that you do, right? Looking at it from a standpoint, let's say that you do, right? And you're looking at this, looking at maybe like deep packet inspection, and you're just looking at different things like, okay, these are some foreign IP. Why are these IPs coming in? And there's not even part of my list. Yeah. So then you start looking a little bit further. Hey, did they get into your network? Was like an account compromised?
Right.
Yeah.
And then if an account was compromised, and you start looking at, okay, what activities is that? What activities are going on with that particular account? Are they accessing any internal web stuff or the intranet? I'm just using the intranet as an example. Are they trying to access any like routers and switches? So you start looking at different things and you start building a pattern. And I think as you're building a pattern, I call it red brick, blue brick. So you're building a foundational security house by learning both. So, okay, I'm putting on my blue hat, blue brick. Okay, I'm putting on my red hat. What could I do with this? Red brick. And you keep building it and building it and building it until you have a solid foundation. But that's how I would look at like VPNs, how I would like monitor a VPN situation.
Thanks
and
for that.
Back to Kelvin's point, I'll keep me honest here, because I'm gonna pass it off to him. That goes back to the point of making sure your stuff is locked down properly with the firewalls and everything, and then searching for the anomalies. So if
exactly, that's it. And I think there's two ways to look at it. I mean, it depends. If you're running a VPN from your home network,
right?
Then definitely you want to know who's kind of authenticating to actually have that VPN access to begin with. If you've got the means and hardware necessary to geo block certain countries, then you might want to do that as well. You may only want to just permit certain traffic out from a VPN. So there's many ways to do it, but definitely logging is a big thing. And the thing is with home networks, probably no one looks at the logs, unless you're in that domain. Right. But logs can tell you so much information about what's going on the devices and in the network. It's so important.
Right.
And then the other thing is, you've got VPN usage on a remote device. Let's say a company laptop, and I know people are not traveling as much at the moment because of COVID. But when you're accessing VPNs from a remote device and you're out and about and you're accessing confidential information, I think that's another thing. People don't really need to have access to the machine to get information. People can look over your shoulder and get information. People might be able to see you type in your VPN credentials to get access, and then from that point on, then they can probably, let's say, for instance, worst case scenario, steal your laptop, and they already know kind of what your credentials are and access that network under your credentials, and then steal company information or personally identifiable information. So there's many. The thing is with security, it's never gonna be perfect. In a perfect world, you're never gonna have a perfect solution.
Right.
All you can do is put the correct controls in place to minimize risk. That's the only thing you can do.
Right.
Man, that's. I could talk about this all day.
Oh, where's the bucket? Get the gems. Pick them up. Pick up the gems.
So many gems. It's crazy. Because the reason why when we start talking about logs, you have to guard and safeguard those logs as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
how do you do that? You know, is that in its own isolated part of your network? How do you protect your logs from those intruders as well?
So this is where you start to start, you start to buy more equipment and you start to become more of a proactive person rather than a reactive person. If you're looking at doing things like that, especially on your home network, then you can easily buy a small storage server, and you can set up a simple share where you can send your syslog messages, if you like, to that server. And if you're that paranoid about even sending that in over HTTP or whatever it may be over your own network, then send it over something that's secure. Encrypt that, send it encrypted to that server, and then encrypt that server, encrypt that hard drive. And then, then at least, say, for instance, if someone really wanted that data in your home and they broke in to try and get your server, that hard drive's encrypted. So unless they know how to unencrypt it, they're not getting anywhere with it.
Right.
You gonna earn this.
And you can do that when you talk about
that's
it.
what it's all about.
For sure.
So there's many ways. The way I look at it is it's like layers on layers on layers. How deep do you want to go? For every aspect of IT, you can look at securing it one way or another. Data in motion, data at rest. Data that's actually on third-party systems. It all depends on what you're trying to protect and how you want to protect it, because there's many different ways.
Right. It definitely is.
Favorite flavor of Linux? Favorite flavor of Linux?
Ooh, for me right now, I'm using Parrot OS, which I think is quite cool.
I love Parrot. I mean, I still go back to Kali. I use Kali, Parrot, Ubuntu. That I usually rotate around those three.
I'm sticking with Kali until I can get SecBSD off the ground.
What about you, Dwight? Because I know you're doing a lot of coding right now. So you're using more Linux?
Yeah, I use a lot of Linux. It depends on what I'm doing. I use a lot of Docker containers. So if there's a container for what I'm doing, it is depending on what that's built. The easiest to get up and running is Ubuntu. I was a huge fan of Rail and CentOS, but that's kind of going away. So right now, it's a lot of Ubuntu.
Yep. Rest in peace to CentOS.
Yeah. Rest in peace, CentOS. Yeah. I use a lot of Docker containers. I'm finding myself to fall in love with containers. But speaking of Docker containers, how secure are they?
They're just like anything else. Like far as applications are concerned, I mean, it's just another part of the network. It's no different than like if you use BSD jails or if you used Linux containers.
Right.
That's all Docker containers really is. So, I mean, it has its security issues as well too. Shout out to Caprico. This dude is he's like a Docker hacker. That's what he does. He hacks Docker. He knows a lot about Docker security. So just watching his work is just beyond amazing. Yeah. He's
and that's my question, because when you talk about VMs, they have their own OS, they have their own memory, RAM, CPU, all of that, hard drive space, all of that, right? And I assume they're supposed to be secure, but Docker still uses the kernel. So my question is, which one is more secure out the box? If you're going to be testing some security software or some malware or something like that.
I will tell you right now, Docker is not secure out the box.
I was gonna say untouched, because my answer would be, I guess it all depends on it depends on the person configuring it. At the end of the day, I mean, people say AWS is secure, but guess what? If you don't secure it the proper way, then you have exposed S3 buckets, or you know. So it just all depends on the due diligence of the person who's configuring it.
Yeah.
I'll say Docker has the potential, like AWS, to be very secure, but it all depends. Out the box, no.
No. Any software, hardware is only as good as its configuration.
Yeah.
So it's only as good as its administrator.
But okay.
So honestly, anything out the box isn't going to be secure because for reason being, I can find your default credentials or default information the same way you can off of a Google search.
Right.
So
I do a lot of Google dorking.
Yo, listen. People sleep on Google when it comes to doing pen testing or security anywhere. Google has gotten me far in some situations. Like you're doing all in a simple Google search, and you're like, oh damn, that's it. Google and maybe a copy and a paste with a couple of tweaks here and there.
I think I'm asking because when you talk about a VM, you have host only, right? And if you're testing malware in that host only, it's supposed to be isolated to that VM. Is that a true statement?
It's supposed to be, but it's not. In all honesty, you might as well put that on a separate subnet and a separate VM. I wouldn't do it in a Docker container because that's linked, that has a kernel addressed into your kernel.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're bound to make a mess.
I mean, my VM setup is a separate computer. I try not to keep everything on that one computer for that very reason, that God forbid something happens and there's a breakout. You know what I'm saying? There's some type of VM breakout or whatever in there.
Yeah.
Now you have everything. So I usually keep stuff internal off to the side that I access on a completely different network. Again, away from everything else in the house.
I access it directly through the console with wireless turned off on the computer, and it's unplugged from the Ethernet. I look at malware that way. That's how I do it. I open up the VMware.
You put on gloves before.
Yeah, I sure do. Glove and mask. I gotta be careful out here.
So you got a separate computer just for a test of malware?
Yes, I do, with no network connectivity at all. Wireless is off.
Okay.
And it's not connected to the Ethernet either.
The BIOS, UEFI versus traditional old school BIOS. That
UEFI.
Okay, I got it. Use that, but that can be hacked as well, right?
Anything can be hacked.
That's it. Full stop.
Anything.
Man.
With enough time and resources, anything.
You see, I just shut the hell up.
Hey man.
I'm just being honest.
Okay, so here's a question for this is probably 90% of people watching this. Do you all use Windows?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
How do you operate Windows and be secure, if that's possible?
It's like any other operating system.
I have antivirus. I have, I don't use. I use Windows every here and there if a pen test calls for it. I'll use like in that scenario. But yeah, for my everyday usage.
Okay.
Yeah, I think for me it's I use a lot of Cisco products.
Right. So you have to use Windows then, right?
Yeah. So
yeah.
I've got things like AMP, so Cisco Advanced Malware Protection, so that's on the endpoint. So that does quite a lot of gives me like a lot of protection from malware, especially with everything that's pushed down from Talos. I use things like Cisco Umbrella, which is DNS protection. So every single request that goes out to the internet is done via DNS request. So that's like the first layer, if you like, of kind of trying to stop any sort of threat. So I won't necessarily say it's mainly down to what I'm running on the actual Windows machine, but there's other things that complement security in my network to further secure the system as well.
Right.
And I think that's how it needs to be. I don't think you can, one single antivirus solution is going to cut it, because, you've got things like 0 days that are just going to totally annihilate your system if they get through, and that's just the way it is.
I say you just have to be mindful. I mean, I know Macs and Linux don't get hit as much, but they can, but they don't get hit as much. But yes, I think it's just all a matter of your surroundings, right? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Charles,
if you click a bad link, you click a bad link.
Yeah, Charles is laughing though. He got something to say.
I was just thinking about something. No, but I was just thinking about something funny, because I've had people tell me, well, Macs don't get hit. I'm like, okay, let's look at it. Let's put it this way: all operating systems suck. Some suck less than others. Okay, so Mac doesn't get, just because you have a Mac doesn't mean you cannot get malware. You cannot be attacked.
You're not invincible.
Right. The only reason it's less attacked because this is a Windows world mainly. Yeah. A lot of corporations use Active Directory. They're using Office 365. A lot of corporations are putting stuff in the Azure cloud a lot more, right? So you're going to see more Windows attacks. You're going to, even with, and if you're doing any type of pen test, you could do it with the Windows 10 box. They have Kali Linux in the Windows Store.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you can actually install Kali Linux or Ubuntu on your Windows 10 box and do some different things, right?
I think you can run Linux now on Windows, can't you? As far as I know.
You can.
Yeah.
But the thing is,
I Ubuntu on my Windows machine.
Right. So you could get attacked at the Mac level. You can get attacked at Linux or Windows. It doesn't even matter. FreeBSD has exploits. And nobody cares about that. As my friend told me, I'm the 10th person that probably uses it. Shout out to Understudy 77. But I mean, every OS can get hacked. Anything can get hacked, in general.
That's deep, man. That's yeah. I'm just sitting here soaking a lot of that up, because let's say you get hacked. I remember back in the day when I was on the help desk and working in system administrator jobs, and a system would get infected, and they say, take it off the network, we need to wipe it. Is that enough?
That's the beginning. Take it off the network, need to wipe it, because you need to know what happened, so it doesn't happen again. Right. So just wiping it and putting it back,
you're doing the work for them.
Right.
And you don't even know if it's already moved laterally within the network anyway.
Right.
So
I want to say it was Keytron who taught me that. He was like, yeah, after he's done on something, he gives it a nasty virus, because that's the first thing everybody does is take it off the network and wipe it. So he said, and if you're a pen tester, one of the main steps that they tell you is cover your tracks. So he's like, I don't have to cover crap because you just did my job for me.
Yep.
He's like, as soon as I'm done, I throw a nasty virus on it. Help desk gets all the alerts, and they're like, ah, and they fire. They're ripping the Ethernet out of it, and then they're taking the hard drive, boom, because again, they're worried about uptime.
Right.
So they're not even thinking, oh, let's clone this hard drive. Again, this is where the forensics kicks in. Let's clone this hard drive. Make a clone of it, encrypt it off, and put it off so we can analyze it later, and then let's wipe this one and bring it back up, or take the hard drive altogether and replace it with another hard drive, and then so now you have this hard drive to analyze it. So people are they're just fire. They see fire, and to Kelvin's point, did it move? Oh, let's stop it 9 times out of 10, when they notice they've been infected, it's probably been there for a minute. But they're so thinking, let's hurry up and get it before it infects something else. We probably done moved 2, 3.
Yeah.
You done probably pipped it 2, 3 times by the time you discovered it. So you're discovering this one, and we're over here like. But you're just so worried about let's hurry up and let's get rid of it. Let's get rid of it.
Deep.
Uh-huh.
I think
that was the very first gem I ever got. Was like, well, how do you effectively cover your tracks? He's like, put a virus on it. And I was like, huh?
Yeah.
And then he said it, and it was like no clue gets it. It was like, oh.
Yeah, I'm glad you repeated that, because that is a real gem for those that's on the help desk watching this. About to unplug it and wipe a system. That's right. Man, that's deep.
Oh wait, someone said who owns and runs forensics? Are we talking real world scenarios? Depends on the company. I've seen some companies who don't. I've seen some companies who don't, and I've seen some companies who do for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like if the computer boots slow, they want to know why. So it just depends on the company.
That's true.
It's like, wait, hold on, it did what? No.
You press the enter key like 5 times. Security walking to your desk. What you doing?
Hey, I want to kind of shift gears real quick.
Yes.
When it comes to cybersecurity, and particularly in UAuth space, I think the only other spaces like this is developers. There's a lot of outsourcing that you can do and freelancing that you can do for yourself. How do you get involved in that space?
Keyword: networking.
Mm-hmm.
Getting out there, getting yourself out there, getting involved in the community. Get involved in the security community. Help out on a couple of projects as well too. And as you're meeting people, so that way people can vouch for your skill set that you're demonstrating, that you eventually want to sell to people later on. You definitely got to get your hands dirty first, I believe, and networking while you're networking at the same time, so they can say, "Oh yeah, this guy's cool, and here's what he can do. I've seen him do it."
Right.
And then as they're passing your work, as they're vouching for you to other people, that's a main way to actually get clients.
Yep. And like what Kelvin and I'm doing too, and I don't know if Charles is doing it too, but blogging, because see, a lot of people when they think pen testers and hackers, they think, or even hackers themselves, they think, I'm not going to put myself out there. I have to stay hidden in the shadows and all of that. Go ahead, keep yourself hidden in the shadows, and you're going to fumble the bag. Because no one knows you. No one knows you. So if you come and say, "Hey, I'm a pen tester," cool. What have you done? I've done this. I have done that. Well, where's your write-ups? You had, and it doesn't have to be about CVEs. Like, to me, people
I don't have any CVEs.
Neither do I. I don't have a damn CVE to my name. I have a V in. Actually, no. Let me lie. I have a V in my name, Davin. But other than that, I don't have a V in my name.
What's the CVE, bro? Can you break it down for those that may not know?
So basically, if you discover a vulnerability that has been like exploited in the wild, you write it up, you take it, and it gets accepted, and it gets published, and now your name is basically you're the author of that CVE, so your name's attached to it,
right?
And a lot of people think you have, in order to be elite, you have to have your OSWP and have like 3 CVEs, like. No,
it's all perspective.
Yeah, it's all perspective. So with that is, it goes, put yourself out there, like, and I'm living proof. For years, 2 things: I didn't know there were all of us in this field. Right? I thought I was like a unicorn off somewhere, and I didn't really use Twitter like that or nothing like that. And then maybe a couple of years ago, I said, well, let me see what's going on, and I was like, oh, there's. I came across Charles. I came across Dewan. I came across Marcus J. Carey. I came across Mary Galloway. I came across Tracy, InfoSec. I came across so many people who are doing so many great things and are very helpful. And the probably 1.5, 2 years that I've put myself out there, I've probably excelled more than I did in the first 13 years of my career. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Because now I can reach out to, if I have different resources for different things. Like if I have a networking question, I can reach out to you or Kelvin. I can reach out to JB, Cyber Insight. If I have a pen testing question, I can reach out to Charles. I can reach out to Marcus J. Carey. I can reach out to Ty Wilson. You know, if I have an AppSec question, I can reach out to Tanya Janka. You know what I'm saying? I can reach out to the DevSlop team.
Yeah.
And it's almost real time. You know what I'm saying? So you gain so much more knowledge from networking. And with that, it's also a give and take thing, because now they can come to you for certain things. They can come to you for help. They can come to you for networking opportunities. And now you build that. So now what happens is there's a senior pen test role. Let's say there's a senior pen test role or something at Red Siege. I can go, hey, Charles. Yeah. What's it like over there? What's, you know what I'm saying? Not necessarily, yo, can you hook me up with a job? Because you still gotta earn your keep. But
I'll get you to the interview.
Yeah, I can get insight from him. Right. I can get his personal opinion, what it takes, and then I can make an informed decision. Because what happens, a lot of people just jump into a job thinking the grass is always greener. Right. I had a situation just now. I was looking at something. I was talking to someone who was there, and then like a month goes by and he's like, yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's like these are, but this is valuable
things to think about. Yeah.
Because you have things, there's other things about cybersecurity or this career field that you have to worry about. Like work balance, work-life balance. And do I have time to do these side things that kind of, like my blog and all of that? Right. So, networking is important.
Yeah, definitely. I think I definitely agree. Networking is the way to get out there. Honestly, I mean, look at what it's done. It's put me in contact with you guys across the seed. You know what I mean? So, without me getting out there on Twitter and YouTube and everywhere else, I wouldn't be in contact with you guys and doing that sort of networking. Yeah, my work might be out there on blogs and stuff, but it's easier to get discovered quicker when you're already out there, or you're networking with other individuals. So I think networking is definitely the number one thing for me.
True story.
And like I say, you gonna mess up the bag thinking you need to stay in the shadows.
Yeah, I was listening to an Elon Musk interview, and he runs like multiple billion-dollar businesses. One of the things he mentioned was first principle of knowledge. So when it comes to what I mean by that is, if we're talking network engineering, the first principle is understanding the OSI model, TCP/IP model, breaking it down at the physical layer, the data link layer, network layer, and understanding that. When it comes to cybersecurity, what is the first principle of cybersecurity?
I'm gonna let one of y'all go.
I think for me, foundations. I think we touched on this towards the start of the call. Certifications definitely help. Get you the foundational knowledge that you need. So things like certified ethical hacker, if that's the route that you want to go down, it'll cover things right from the very start. So reconnaissance to what cryptography is all the way through. Might get a little bit hands-on experience, and then you can go for the more advanced things. If you want, you can also go down the educational route. So I've done both. I think they're both different. I think the certifications allowed me to get that understanding and that foundation of security in general, networking in general. Because to be honest, without networking, just forget about cybersecurity. Get that networking understanding first, and then you can go on to cybersecurity, because everything you start to look at in cybersecurity is a foundation of networking. So whether it's looking at the TCP/IP stack, whether it's looking at ports and protocols, cryptography, all that stuff, start with the foundation. Don't try and jump straight into cryptography or into cybersecurity in general, because it might put you off, because you've got so many different areas you can look at, and if you don't know the fundamentals, you're going to find it difficult to pick up other areas within security. So start with foundations of networking, and then really look at it where it is you want to go within cybersecurity, whether it's the networking path, whether it's the hacking path, whether it's analysts. There's so many different roles in there. You really need to explore the industry. But just to kind of put it out there as a fact, there's some statistics online that state cybersecurity is, there's a skills gap in the industry around the world. And I think there's 1.8 by 2022. So next year, there's going to be 1.8 million unfilled cybersecurity positions.
Man.
So think about that for a minute. This is an industry where there's not enough cybersecurity experts out there, and we're crying out for people. So if that's not a cue to get in there and be that next person, then I don't know what it is. But start with the foundations is what I'd say.
Love that. Anybody else?
So, okay, I was
okay. So, just in general, just to piggyback. So, if you take the industry out for a second, just take industry word out for a second, right? If this is something that you're truly interested in, right? Forget industry, forget all of that, right? This is something you're truly interested in. One, like I said, understanding the basics of computer networking. TCP/IP is the fundamental protocol of the internet, and not understanding it, you're not really going to go too far, right? Once you've understood the basics of networking and you understand the fundamentals of networking, I would then look at operating systems, right? Operating systems or applications. Understanding how the operating systems function, how they access the file systems, where do they keep their logs, how do they work as a whole, and as far as like security is concerned, because each operating system does things differently when it comes to security, accessing file systems, and actually just functioning as a whole, right? Once you've got the foundation of operating systems down pat, then you look at the fundamentals of programming, and do not grow weak on programming or scripting in general, right? Because understanding this brings you to different levels, especially when you're getting into, you say, hey, I like pen testing, but I want to go be a red teamer. A lot of red teaming, you're going to do a lot of customization. You're going to do a lot of compiling, because you're going to have custom code that you're going to want to run or burn. We call it burning on the network, where you're trying to evade like Active Directory, AV or whatnot. If Windows Defender you're not going to be able to just say, oh, I'm going to run Bloodhound, I'm going to run Mimikat tools on the network during a red teaming engagement, because the boot defense might be just blocking that. Oh, Mimikat's running. Okay, Windows Defender, kill that, right? So now if you have your own custom tool, and this is where the power programming comes in, you've made a custom tool that, says, hey, Windows Defender will not be able to detect my particular tool, and you can pretty much get what you need to accomplish done on that network with red teaming, right? And of course, pen testing, you can use like specific tools or whatever else. But look at it this way. You know how they say no romance without finance? No pen testing without fundamentals.
Yeah.
That's true.
No hacking without fundamentals.
Yeah.
So
I like that.
That's just my take on it.
I like that.
So both of them are absolutely right. And then finally, I actually have a mug. It says do the work, right? To Kelvin's point, there are millions, or there's going to be damn near 2 million jobs, right? And yeah, we can say the flip side to that is that a lot of companies don't know what they're talking about, like wanting an entry-level position, but you have to have a CISSP or 10 years of experience, on a product that's been out 3. But there's also a lot of people who feel like they need to, not that they need to, that they can just kind of get in and bypass a lot of things. Yeah. To Charles' point, I'm one of those people who was terrified of programming. Right? I was like, I avoided like the plague. I was like, if I can't Google and copy and whatever, if I can't Google it or go to Stack Overflow or whatever, I don't want no parts of it. And what I do, I fumble a couple bags because I don't know. I didn't know at that time enough about it. I'm still working on it, but now I know enough to know what's going on or if I need to tweak a certain code to make it work for me. But that's a work in progress. So do the work. And that's the thing. Once you get here, getting here is the easy part. Staying here is where the fun begins, because like we said, to recap, there's a lot of stuff you got to keep up with. There's a lot of attacks that you have to have some understanding about, and you got to keep your ear to the streets. You got to know what's going on. So it's constant work. It's not, like I said, it's not Mr. Robot or what you see on TV, or and the other misconception is I'm just going to get into cybersecurity because it's going to get me 6 figures. You're not. Yeah. Let's be clear right now. You're not. Hold on. You're not going to get 6 figures starting out. Okay. No. Like, you have to, again, do the work. You have to work your way up to that. Not to mention, if you are lucky and you do get that, good luck when raise time come around.
Right. And another point on that is, when with those sort of figures comes more responsibility. So always be aware of that. Don't think that the industry, the cybersecurity industry, is a walk in the park, because there's immense pressure. You're a security expert in the industry, and if you're giving companies advice or you're carrying out tasks that can potentially take a company out of business, your job, your reputation, it's all on the line. It's important and serious stuff. So you really need to remember that. One, it's not a walk in the park, and two, with power comes responsibility.
Yep. Absolutely.
What is a good starting salary?
Yeah.
What is a good starting salary?
It all depends on experience.
Yeah.
No, I mean from no experience.
And the area you live in too.
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of factors that play into it. With no experience, okay. So you're saying what? Are you saying with no certifications and no hands-on experience?
Let's just say no experience. You can have certifications, you have a degree, just no experience.
But here's way. Get into tech first.
So you're saying
and then try to get into. I don't know, because I can't speak to anybody else's route, because that's when I decided I want to get into cybersecurity. When I had that, when I discovered pen testing, and I said I want to jump to cybersecurity, I didn't do it for another 2 years. Right. Yeah. And again, that could have been a mistake. That to me, that was a mistake on my part. I feel like I could have probably made the jump sooner.
Right.
But I also wanted to make sure I don't have a college degree.
Right.
So I wanted to make sure I knew everything. To Charles's point, I did a whole bunch of self-studying. So I went and studied about vulnerabilities. I studied about network. I refreshed, because I had my Network Plus already. I refreshed my Network Plus. I took the Security Plus again, because it changes, the stuff changes every few years. So I let mine lapse, and then I took it again to get refreshed on that. And then I started doing research on it so I could understand enough of it. So I took about another 1.5 to 2 years before I even said, I'm going to go now get my CEH. And then after my CEH, it was like another maybe 4 to 6 months before I actually got a job in cybersecurity.
Right.
And see, the reason why I say make sure you have a job in tech before is because also, I don't know everybody's financial situation.
Right.
That's true too.
That's, certain CompTIA certs aren't expensive. And depending on how you do it, like I think I talked about it on the show before, Duan, where I said, I basically used the flip mentality. My boss said he would reimburse me. So I paid my first $200. And then when I got reimbursed, I just take that same $200 and threw it at something else and And there's a lot that goes into it. Yep. So I don't know how your finances roll. So that's why I say.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I say that's why I say make sure you get in first, because again, to my original point, these companies, a lot of these companies don't know what they're looking for. So they'll say entry level, but they'll say you have to have all these other certifications, and you don't have that knowledge. Right. The CISSP, you can't get the CISSP without 5 years to begin with, unless you get the associates, and then that's like a junior or whatever. But that's a discussion for another day.
Yeah. I will tell you this though, if I was just graduating college, Mom, Dad, if you ever see this, I love you, but I'd be like, I'm moving back in with y'all for at least a year. Just give me a year. That's it. Move back in. If I was graduating college in 2021, be like, Mom, Dad, I'm moving back home just for a year.
Hey,
That's real.
yeah,
that would be my plan.
right, right.
I walk across the stage, and I walk back into the house. Like,
off the stage into the car.
that's it. Yep, sit in the back seat because you graduate, you want to wave to people.
Yep.
Yo, that's wild. Hey, I got some super chats. I got a ton. I missed a few of them, but shout out to Gifted Lane. Appreciate you. She says 4 black men dropping gems. Love to see it. Much love to you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep. Another one. Let's see. Keep scrolling. Ashley Williams, wonderful discussion. Thank you.
Hey, Ashley.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for everybody that has dropped the super chats and been dropping questions, and the moderators that's been holding down the chat. We really do appreciate you. I got a super chat from Network Chuck. Shout out to Network Chuck.
Hey, big fan.
Here's a question. He has a question. His question is, top 5 fundamental skills for cybersecurity.
Top 5.
Well,
skills. You talking about skills? You said?
Yeah, top 5 fundamental skills for cybersecurity.
Do they have to be technical, or can they be technical, or can they be non-technical? I should be asked.
So it's 3.
It should be a combination of both. So
you can have your own. I say you have your own. Each of y'all, you're gonna have different skills.
Yeah,
so let's do that.
I tell you, my top 5: people skills.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely want to have people skills. Definitely networking, which could be a combination of people skills. The technical skills, of course, right? And just the drive. The drive to want to do it. That would be my top 5. Well, that gave you 4. But then my and the 5th one, humility. Somebody can always tell you something in this industry. Nobody ever knows it all. There's too much stuff out there. Somebody tells you that they know everything there is to know about computers, run from that person because they lied.
There's no such thing as gurus.
Nope.
Just Google.
Just my top 5 right there.
That's it. I think for me, I'd probably say I'm going to agree definitely wholeheartedly with people skills. You definitely need people skills. Technical skills is a given. I'm going to say organization skills, because you need to be, when you're working in this field, you need to be very organized. You need to be on the ball. You need to be ready to react. So I think you need to be organized. If you're not prepared, then be prepared to fail. It's as simple as that. I guess you could mix people skills with communication skills, but I think communication skills is very important, especially if you're dealing with, or if you work in the corporate industry, because you need to know how to not only communicate on a technical level, but you also need to know how to communicate on a kind of C-suite level. So not really technical. So you need to be able to take something technical and explain it in a way that anybody could understand it, Right. So I think that's very important. And I think, it's a difficult one. I'm gonna say you need. I'm gonna say, it's a difficult one. I keep trying to allude down to the technical skills, but it's not always technical skills. But I think if we dive into the technical skills, I definitely think, as I said it before, the foundational networking skills. Without networking, it's not going to happen. It's as simple as that. Right. So definitely networking skills. Forget about security until you got networking skills.
So Network Chuck, big fan, but I might go to 6 or 7. Networking, basic networking. I feel that, especially in pen testing, you have to know that like the back of your hand. If you don't know your default ports, your pen tests are gonna go a lot longer. If you don't know what is on port 22 or what's on port 445 or whatever, so you have to know you have to understand the networking. You have to understand subnetting, TCP/IP. That's a given. Communication skills, verbal, written, and damn it, what's the third one? I can't remember. Whatever. But verbal and written are definitely more important because you have to know your audience.
Right.
I can't talk technical to a room of executives. I can't talk in layman's terms and simple to a room of technical people. You have to know when to be able to turn that on and turn that off.
Right.
Equally important is the written. You have to be able to write. I tell people who I mentor, write reports until you like them. Because if you enjoy writing a report, you won't get as pissed. You won't get as frustrated when you're on page 78 of a report. And write that report. And if you wrote and if you actually did something and you're doing a proof of concept, own it. That's you. You did that.
Right.
My goal when I write my reports is I try to write it so I can hand it to I could walk in there and say, who's the most non-technical person? And he goes, me, or she goes, me. And I go, follow these steps in this proof of concept. And if you can recreate it, then you can't debate whether or not the vulnerability or the exploit is valid because the most non-technical person was able to follow these steps from the commands, from the Nmaps flags, from the scripts I ran, and they can recreate the same situation that I did.
True.
And I take pride in that. And whether it's my CTF write-ups, whether it's my real world write-ups, whatever, get to writing it. And even in the report, you have to know when to turn that off and turn that on too. The executive summary is for the executives. You want to keep it simple. And sometimes, if there's any executives in the chat, please, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I tend to dumb it down. So I keep it simple in the paragraphs, and then I break it down. This is how many highs you had. Highs are red. This is how many mediums you had. Mediums are yellow or amber. This is how many lower informationals. They might be green or blue. So then they could go, okay, this is what we need. Because 9 times out of 10, they're going to go, oh, that's bad. Okay, we need to whatever. And then for the technical folk, this is where you get, these steps like that. So that was 2. So communication. 3 is the hands-on. So I think the networking and the communication skills are more important to me than the hands-on. Why? Most people who are technically inclined can be taught the hands-on stuff. You can't teach certain people communication skills. So, a lot of people who are in pen testing aren't really verbal, they like to stay to themselves. They're really, introverted or whatever. But they're really great at what they do. So you could teach them the hands-on stuff, but you can't teach them communication. So the hands-on stuff is important. You have to know the hands-on stuff. Yeah. 4 is the hunger for more. You can't get complacent. You can't get complacent in this field. MS08-67 or isn't going to work. I don't know if it might still work in some medical facilities, but it's not always going to work, right? Charles is like, no. Right? But you know what I'm saying? You have to have the hunger for more. You have you gotta do the work. Because like I said, getting there is the easy part. Staying there, staying relevant, staying with everything, that's the hard part. Right. And finally, always bet on yourself. It goes to Charles' point about the humility that yes, you do have to listen. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. But you have to bet on yourself because this field can get lonely. This field can get frustrating. I don't care how big the bag is. There are some days where I'm contemplating doing something else. I'm an open book. I told y'all last year I thought about stepping away. I had a situation. I was stepping away. You have to remember why you got into it, what your passion is, what your why is. And those days those long nights where you're studying or researching or whatever, that's got to keep you going because sometimes you're your only cheerleader. And I kept it to 5. There might have been A, B, and C in some points, but I kept it to 5.
Hey,
that's gems right there. That's
straight up gems. Hey, this field do get frustrated. I'm telling you. I be laying in bed thinking like, yo, if I ever get in shape, I'm quitting tech and starting the OnlyFans. Like straight up.
I said that the other day. I was sitting there looking like, my wife was like, yo, what are you doing? I was like, trying to figure out how many sit-ups I need to do.
There we go.
I was like,
I even got the COVID version.
Yo, we've been on this for 2 hours. I want to thank y'all for dropping these jewels, taking the time out y'all day. Yeah. Hey, before we go, have y'all seen the new Coming to America?
nah.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. I will tell you this, and for all the people out there on Facebook, the spoilers, shout outs to y'all, but really, it's hard to recapture 31 years of greatness.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you get into it, it's a good movie. It's fun. We needed it. We needed it definitely in this time, you know. So I would say definitely check it out. It's a good movie, and don't be like, oh my God, it's not this. It's not supposed to be. People are older. They do change.
And we're in a different time now.
Yeah, we're in a different time. So you gotta kind of
folks that
yes.
I sat my kids down last night and we watched the original last night, and so tonight we're gonna watch the new one. So I can, you know, they're young, so I want to hear what they think about the original versus this one. You know what I mean? So I'm excited to do that. Yeah, exactly,
and just have fun with this thing called the internet.
Yeah,
you know.
When I saw the trailer, I was like, I immediately told myself, don't anticipate, right? Again, you can't. We live in different times, so like I said, some of that stuff, you know, we don't look. Eddie Murphy is just getting back to it. There's rumors that he might even do stand up again. Let's not get him canceled.
Yeah, you can't cancel Eddie. You can't cancel. There's certain people you can't cancel, and I don't think you can cancel Eddie Murphy. You can't cancel Dave Chappelle. There's certain people that you just can't cancel.
Try.
Dave Chappelle. You think you can cancel Dave Chappelle?
Oh hell, I don't think you can. I'm just saying that they will try. And hold on. And shoot, I saw what Dave Chappelle said recently, and I was like, "Oh, they gonna be mad about that?"
Yeah.
No, at the end of the day, like only person that can actually cancel you is standing right in that mirror. Everything else, no.
Yep.
And again, like I said before, if it don't challenge you, it don't change you. So
true story.
Is what it is.
All right. Yo, let's leave everybody with some motivation. Y'all wanna go around the table, get some words of encouragement, some shout outs, and let them know your social medias.
Gurus, but Charles is the motivational guru, so I think he should go last. I'm not going behind him.
I agree.
Oh my goodness. Go ahead.
I just want to thank you guys for jumping in today. I think it's been great, not only to kind of present to everybody else that's watching, but also for me to listen to you as well. I think it's the first time that we've done this, and I'd love to do it again at some point in the future. It's not often we see so many black cybersecurity professionals. So I love that. I'm here for that all day long. I want to thank everybody that's tuned in today and listened. I hope you found it useful. I hope you can take away some of the gems that were dropped and incorporate that into your life, into your routine. And if you're looking to get into the cybersecurity industry, into making your way into that field as well. And I just want to say, life's a journey. I mean, just fail fast, fail forward. That's one thing that I like to live on. It's never gonna be perfect. People only see the successes. You're probably looking at us and thinking, wow, yeah, you guys are in the field already, you're doing X, Y, and Z. But the journey to get here, it wasn't easy. the journey now isn't easy. You know, challenging myself every single day to learn something new, to stay relevant in the field. It's a big challenge, you know, and you've got to keep doing that when you've got, you know, a family and other expectations. It's a lot. So, you know, just enjoy the journey.
Yeah,
that's it from me.
It's like ducks in the water, right? You see them like, oh, so effortlessly, and they're doing this.
man.
Mm-hmm.
For one, Dewan, once again, thank you for inviting me on your platform, sir. It's always a pleasure. It's always love. To the gentleman on the panel, like I said, Kelvin, I'm just meeting you, but I'm a big fan. Charles, you already know I look at you like a big homie. I appreciate you know, y'all just being here amongst all y'all is like a blessing. Like I said, I used to watch from afar a couple years ago, and now I'm sitting here with y'all, and it's just like, it's almost like, man, that's a come up for me personally.
Mm-hmm.
But to jump off of, to piggyback off of what Kelvin said, and I'm not trying to make this a racial thing, but this is special here. This is special. A lot of us came up a different way, and we were growing up. We were taught that this isn't for us. We weren't smart enough. We should stick to sports. We should stick to the stereotypes. Now we have things like social media telling us what's hot and what's sexy. I think this type of platform is important, and not just for Black folk, for anybody who is in an inner city, anybody who's in a trailer park, anybody who's in any type of rough situation. This is special because it shows that people from those same communities can do something with their lives. Yeah, we're not millionaires or billionaires. I can't, you know, I don't know. Charles has his own personal printer. But this is special. My life changed because of a laptop. Right? I went from, I don't know how I'm going to feed my daughter tomorrow, to now giving them everything that they need and some of the things that they want. I'm not saying, you know what I'm saying? And also showing them that it took work to get here. It can be done, and it can be us, and it can be you. You just gotta do the work. You gotta do the work. Too many people are over here trying to sell flat tummy teas and doing these little multi-level, the MLM scams or get rich quick schemes. And no, stay true to yourself. Stay on course. The goal is the goal. The path is the path. You will fail forward, learn from it. It's not how you mess up, it's how you recover, and you will get there. So we need more of this. We need more people here. Like Kelvin said, it's 1.8. So you might not get the bag starting out, but the bag will be there. And guess what? The bag isn't, there's other things you can get, like benefits, equity. These are all, you know what I'm saying? 401ks.
Stocks. So
you know what I'm saying? You can build on that. The bag will come, but you can start building on the generational wealth now, today. So, you know, and you don't, and for a lot of people, you may, if you're not, college isn't your thing, you may not have to go to college to do it. I'm living proof. So it can be done. It can be us. Do the work. Stay true to yourself. Never compromise your integrity, and, you know, fail forward.
I think one more thing, certification dumps. Stay away from that. That does not help. You see certification dumps, people on LinkedIn reaching out to you saying we can get your XYZ certification in 1, 2, 3 months. Stay away from that. Yeah,
Z dumps.
Or expose them.
Z dumps.
Expose them.
Z dumps.
Dump the dumps. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. First and foremost, I just want to say thank you for having me on the show. It's truly an honor to be on this show in general. I really had a great time chatting with all three of you brothers and everybody out in Twitter and of course YouTube land. For me, my goodness, like and again, I'm just a kid from Yonkers, New York. Come a mighty long way from apartment 9E. Had parents that believed in my dream from giving me that first Networking Complete book in 99. Man. And that started me on a path for going after greatness. And anybody out there, I don't care where you are, what you're going through, you could do this too. You can make it happen. I guarantee you. And look at it this way too. Don't focus so much on the problems. Focus on your possibilities. That's way bigger than your problems. Problems come and go, but possibilities are forever. And you get to turn those into greatness with your dreams. Love that. So I would tell you this, keep studying, keep focusing on the prize. If you want to go be a business owner, you're going to go do that. If you don't have nobody else rooting for you, I'm rooting for you as the BSD Bandit or as Charles, whichever you prefer to call me. But I want to see everybody win, and that's genuine love. So go out there, go be great, take the world by storm, and get that fire in your belly and explode. I love you all.
Love you all, and we out.
That's why I said he had to go last.
Peace.